Like and follow if you love horror. This was the second novella I had published in the beginning. It's a cosmic horror creature feature like the other three. So I guess without further ado, motels. How the fuck does anyone expect to get away with cheating if everyone does it in motels? Private detectives were like the paparazzi of motels. Joan shook her head, watching the two lovebirds check into the room, top floor, across the parking lot. Out comes the Palm Pixie with the digital zoom, snap snap, and $250 per billable hour for 3 hours of work. Then time to kick off the boots, pop the cheap wine, and enjoy the vibrating bed. All in a day's work. Who was the bigger sucker, Joan mused. The clients who got themselves into this mess, or the average Joe who worked 9 to 5 at twice the hours for half the pay? Of course, you had to be good to get the clients, but Joan's black book spoke for itself. The work took a special kind of scum, Joan was fond of saying. The kind that really enjoyed taking advantage, like a road trap auto mechanic or a dentist. She was about to ruin someone's life. Even better, they asked her to do it and paid her for it. Who does that? People don't want the truth. The truth sucks. But there she found herself time and time again, same damn room, same damn hotel, like these geniuses were incapable of finding someplace else to cheat on their respective others. Joan slipped a quarter into the bedside coin feed. The bed began to buck slightly with a hum. It was fun. It would be even better on a couple more glasses of cheap wine. But Joan crinkled up her face and sighed. Maybe just one more shot of a blowjob or something. Something to really make the missus mad. Out with the Palm Pixie and up against the window, hoping the two would make one more careless pass by the split in their curtains. And Joan was feeling generous. She wouldn't even charge for the extra hour. So there she stood, one eye out the window, camera just slightly up over the other, ready to take the shot, like an anti-Cupid sniper. She paused, waiting patiently for the moment, shadows dancing about the opposing suite as they do. As she watched, something caught Joan's attention out of the corner of her eye. She tried not to give in to distraction, but something erratic nagged at her. She fought off the urge to look away from her target. One moment's hesitation could cost her the glam shot for her client. There was just something so strange, though. Her eyes instinctively moved towards the distraction. A shirtless, scrawny young man staggered into the parking lot. He moved from car to car, looking in and trying the door. Normally that wouldn't bother Joan, but he was getting closer to her side of the lot and her car, and seemed to be clutching his side as though injured. "Fuck it," Joan said, pocketing the Pixie. She waited for the youngster to be distracted, trying at a car, then slipped out of her room. She remained quiet and casually strolled up on him. He was 5 cars down from hers when she finally made it round his back. Plenty of time to give the little meth head grief and send him packing. She'd get the glam shot for her client tomorrow. "There's something I can do for you, Twiggy," Joan said, practically on top of the guy before he noticed. "Huh? Me?" He stammered, but smiled nervously. He knew what this looked like. It looked exactly like he was trying to rob a car, so there was no point in saying something like, "It's not what it looks like." These were the moments when little baseheads like him would just stall for time, just enough time to make something up or plan a quick escape route. "Huh?" Joan pantomimed. "Yes, you fucking dolt. You see anyone else here?" She wondered if he might try to answer that. Instead, he said the strangest thing. "Don't suppose you're looking for some company tonight?" Which meant exactly what it sounded like. Are you making a pass at me? Are you fucking kidding me?" It was the general audacity that really got Joan's temper flaring. She wasn't even that worried about some random tweaker at some random by-the-hour motel, but the little fucker was now trying to pick her up. At the rate he was going, this punk might not leave alive. Joan moved in fast, probably faster than the little prick could even perceive. His feeble attempts to bat her away was met with ferocity and exact fluid motion. Within seconds, he was against the car in a hammerlock. Let's get something straight, sugar. I'm not a mark, I'm not your sweetheart, and I ain't some average hoe. I will... She was about to say something about breaking his bones in alphabetical order when she felt a familiar, tacky, warm, wet sensation against her stomach. Jesus, you're bleeding. Yeah, my pimp's a real asshole. Look, please don't break my arm. I'm sorry, I just need some money. Tell me which cars is yours and I'll overlook it. He said, hissing a bit in pain. Jesus, dude, it's deep. Joan tightened the lock to be safe and probed the wound. It was bleeding heavily and soaked through a makeshift bandage, likely an old t-shirt. I'm taking your ass to the hospital. No! The young buck contorted only to be forced back down. Be glad I'm feeling fucking generous. You just ruined me time. I should have you bleed out. Joan said, grabbing an ear with the other hand and leading him towards her Buick LeSable. No, I got a score tonight. If I'm not back with some cash tomorrow, I've got way worse things to be worried about. He struggled, but the nature of his position only caused him more pain the more he struggled. Okay, 2 things, shit for brains. Joan pulled up on the lock to the point where he began sucking air. First off, the slightest pressure and 0 effort, I could tear all 3 major joints in your arm. Second, with that wound, you're not going to live to see tomorrow morning. Look, I get it. I'm not struggling, but for the love of God, please don't take me to the hospital. Now he was making a scene, and that was a huge problem. Fuck, she said, looking down the row of cars. Lights started coming on in the surrounding rooms. Time for plan B. Her room was just closer. Don't get any bright ideas. Caring little for the level of his injury or the likely fresh damage to his arm, Joan threw him through the door of her room. Her bed was still vibrating. As he struggled to get up, she grabbed him by the ear and dragged him to the bathroom. Fresh towels, put pressure on it, she said, half sitting him down and half throwing him down on the toilet. Out the door she popped. Before he could react, she was back in with a 5th of Jim Beam. She pounded a gulp, then handed him the bottle. It'll make your blood watery, but it will take the sting away, she said before she was out the door again. Sting? He said, clearly concerned with Joan's intentions. She walked back with a salt shaker, a needle, and fishing wire. You're going to want to make that choice now, she said, twizzling the needle in the salt water. Whoa, okay. Do you have any idea what you're doing, lady? He said, holding up his hands defensively, one still clutching the bottle tightly. Look, you have 2 options. You let me dress the wound, or I knock you the fuck out, throw you in my trunk, and drop you off at a hospital, she said, spooling the fishing line into the salt water. Fair enough. I would just like some reassurance. He pressed the bottle to his lips. I've never had to do it, and the conditions are not ideal, but yes, I know what I'm doing. I had training. She bent the needle into a U in the curve of the sink. Fuck it. He took another sip and then turned to expose the wound. Joan went to work, and he did not weather her performance well. As she worked, he had to fight off fainting and screaming bloody murder. He was not what one would describe as a trooper about it. To try to distract him, they talked. So you want to tell me who you're really running from, Twiggy? She asked. Would you believe a rival gang? He said between whimpers. Nope, you don't have any tattoos, but whoever stabbed you meant business. This was a failed kidney shot. They skimmed the outside rather than puncturing the meat. Back just a hair and you would have gone into shock. So I'm not buying this was a punishment wound either. A pimp would put a working boy to the boots if he wanted money, not kill you. Want to try me again? My dad's a real... He began to speak. Joan intentionally pulled on the fishing line to shut him up. He yelped. You don't want to tell me? Fine, but quit bullshitting me, Joan glared. What are you, a fucking cop? The boy looked back nervously. Something like that. But we ain't talking about me, Joan continued to glare, causing the scraggly lad to shrink in on himself. Dustin, he said, reaching back a hand. Joan accepted it hesitantly, half expecting the little fucker to try something. Joan. Well, Joan,